Wholeness, beautiful beings, welcome to Notes of Nara. My name is Naja Rashida. Thank you so much for being here and tuning in. May this message find you well and whole. Thank you so much. I feel so happy and grateful for the well wishes. I do feel 10 times better, lingering a little bit, but thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Today's topic, we're going to talk about a continuation of the shadow work. To avoidance. Those that avoid accountability, beware. Yes, we've all avoided something to certain extents, right? Oh, I don't want to look at that bill, right? Oh, I don't want to have that conversation right now. Oh, I'd rather not discuss this topic with you. Or just avoiding looking at things from the past that we know it's hindering us from moving forward and from living a more abundant existence. We've all done it, right? There's a lot of dualistic he, she, avoidance, and those who attach and those who do this. And we have the empath versus the narcissist and versus this and versus that. And I try to have a non-dualistic approach because I'm a firm believer it's two sides are on the same freaking coin here, okay? But I'm not just speaking to the avoidance per se. I'm speaking to those who may actively be in that space of just avoiding things that they really, really, really need to pay attention to. Because there's some things, as individuals, we give a lot of our attention to good things that we give our attention to, right? Our money or our career or even our family or our spouse, our relationships with other people, our relationships with our community, right? We just go over above and beyond, giving a lot of our attention to what's important, right? Like paying your bills, getting groceries, putting gas in your car. Those are important things, everyday, daily things, or calling that one friend, or being supportive of a family member. But we all human beings have this thing where we will avoid the things that really, truly need our dire attention. It's almost like a thorn in your thumb. And you pick up a beautiful rose, and that rose is like, hey, I got a message for you. And you're like, I don't want to hear the message, and the rose is like, okay. And so you sit down, you put the rose down, but on the way, as you're dropping the rose, to the ground, oh, the thorn pricked your finger, and now that thorn's stuck in that finger, and you can't get that thorn out. You're just like, oh, you're like, oh man. And then you just continue on with your day. You continue on, supporting your relationships and, calling that one friend and addressing your financial concerns and focusing on your career. But all in all, this thorn in your thumb just keeps gnawing at you. And here's the thing with that. We avoid the very thing that can liberate us, that can make all the areas I just mentioned 10 times better. And this is a warning, I say. This is a genuine, sincere reminder, if you will, to take the time you need to remove the thorn from your thumb. You are the only person that can do that. That way could be, getting your therapy, right? Hiring a therapist, seeking out spiritual healers, seeking out mentorship, finding a community or building a community to help you remove that sliver of old that's just festering in your thumb, in your consciousness, in your heart. And why do I say beware? Because I'm not sure if you guys picked up or not, but I practice energy reading, and I will make a separate video discussing what will change on this channel. I will still be making these types of videos, of course. This is the foundation of my messages and whatnot. But I also have this thing that I've been avoiding for quite some time. This is going to be round 3, and I believe in the power of 3 for sure. This has come back around again, and there's an opportunity for me to, to put my gifts in use and to start off digitally, and we'll see where it takes off. And so, yeah, that's just a prime example, something I've been avoiding, right? Like my music, I've been avoiding it because I'm just like, I don't have the time because I'm putting so much energy in teaching career. I'm putting so much energy here and here and here and here and here. And all the while, feel this festering, this thing, this annoying thing. It's like, hey, pay attention. Remove this thorn so that you can enjoy the beauty of the rose, so that you can receive the message of the rose with openness, with non-resistance, with intrigue and curiosity. So those of you that are struggling with avoiding that one thing that you need to address, okay? That could be anything, right? Not just relationship stuff or career stuff or money stuff or spiritual stuff. Anything that is gnawing in your inner being that no other person, you have to make that call. You have to make that first step, right? And it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage and bravery and consistency, right? Because once the one thing, when you're a kid and you got like a splinter in your finger or in your foot, and they go in for the first time with the tweezers, and you're just like, oh no, you're like, ah, and some kids will just get up and run away, right? Again, it's uncomfortable. Avoidants tend to feel uncomfortable with themselves, and so the universe will continue to bring in mirrors into their life that will reflect all the things that they're avoiding. And they get better at running, but the universe gets better at chasing them. So taking accountability for yourself. When you know something's wrong, you said something wrong. When you've done something that was incorrect, that's caused any level of harm to yourself or to others, you have to take accountability for it. There's no other way. Now, does this mean like, man, okay, so I wronged this person 5 years ago, I need to go hunt down that person and call them? Absolutely not. This kind of ties into, not kind of, but it does. It ties into the last video where I spoke about forgiving yourself first. Because forgiveness, self-forgiveness, and accountability go hand in hand. When you are able to forgive yourself first, that's taking accountability for any action or thought or feeling where you were deliberately or maybe unintentionally causing yourself harm that would feed into the frequency of a specific event or experience that would thus cause suffering. So, for example, I'm going to use a perfect example because this is the most relatable. We've all, as adults, right? This is a child-free zone, right? And what I mean is my audience is 18 and over for this channel. So for adults, usually we've lived long enough, right, to have, like, I'll use about a love and romance, as an example. You meet an individual, they meet you, and you're at a certain part in your frequency in your life. They're in a specific frequency in their life. And let's just say you have two people that don't necessarily have a strong sense of self-worth or value, right? But they mask it. They hide behind it. They convince other people that it's not an issue, right? That they have high self-esteem, but they have all of these hidden insecurities. And so these two frequencies meet each other, right? Unaware of all the wounds that they're carrying. So a lot of the time with insecure people, sometimes they're aware of their stuff and other times not so much, right? Like for me, with my insecurities, I usually like to speak it out during prayer or meditation, right? Things that wound me, I speak it out. Things that I don't feel confident about, I speak it out. I get it on paper and I burn it, right? I make it known to myself. Again, a part of self-accountability or taking accountability for yourself, right? But oftentimes before we are wronged by others, we wrong ourselves, meaning You'll know when things don't feel right. You'll know when you're undervalued. You'll know when someone approaches you and they don't realize your worth, especially if you've been doing a lot of work on yourself, but yet you accept them anyway, right? You accept it anyway. Or you meet someone and you devalue them. You don't recognize their worth, and you make them beneath you. You hurt them. It doesn't feel great when you are sitting by yourself with yourself and you begin to look at the moments where you've hurt someone the most, right? It doesn't feel very good at all. But you can liberate yourself with compassion by voicing and retelling the story, speaking it out in prayer, speaking it out to spirit or whoever you choose to connect with that is greater than your ego, right? Apologizing to yourself is a start. I'm sorry, to myself. Like, I forgive myself for lying to this person. You don't have to reach out to people or to a parent or to a friend or to a colleague. You don't have to do all that. But again, acknowledging the actions or feelings or emotions that you had at that time. Like, I acknowledge that I wasn't loving in that moment. I acknowledge that I lied about who I was or my intentions. I acknowledge that I was weak. I acknowledge that I betrayed my own truth just to get something from someone else, or get something from this parent or this friend or lover or community or business, right? It's all over, not just romance. And when you begin to acknowledge your F-ups with yourself, by yourself. Now, you can hire a therapist to do this with you. For me, I start with me. It ended with me, I start with me. It starts with me, it ends with me. Okay? We inhale our first breath into this world and we exhale out of this world. So, no one comes with us, right? And so allowing yourself to acknowledge the actions at that time, because you can be in a completely different frequency when you decide to do this shadow work, where you're like, okay, I'm finally ready to stop avoiding. I'm ready to sit with what I've done with myself, by myself. Feel the feelings, feel the guilt, feel the shame, feel the blame, feel it all. And if you are at a point where you can actually speak out and acknowledge what you've done, right? Or what you were intending to do, and it didn't go your way, right? Man, oh man, that's real work. It's a hard thing to do, to sit and say, you know what? I even find it easier for people to sit and do it in front of other people. It's harder to do it by yourself. It's harder to say, I acknowledge that I was a fool. I acknowledge that I took this person for granted. I acknowledge that I stole, or I acknowledge that I lied. And then you see it on a piece of paper, or you hear it from a recording from yourself, and you're like, wow, that gives you the opportunity to then practice compassion for yourself. And then when you begin to actively alchemize by using compassion for your acknowledgments of your F-ups, oh my gosh, then you truly begin to alchemize the whole experience. And the person, you don't have to call the person. You have to pick up the phone and say, I apologize. The person will be able to feel it. They will be able to feel it long distance. when you do inner work, when you do shadow work, it is non-physical. People that you have wronged, people that you've hurt, right? They will feel it. Sometimes you'll get a random call from that person and you had no intention of ever hearing from them again. Truly, it's happened to me. I was traveling. I was living in a high desert in New Mexico, living my life. It was about 1.5 years. And from, a breakup or separation, it didn't go right. It ended horribly, horribly, horribly wrong. And I was just living my life. I didn't get calls from anybody. Hardly. To this day, I don't. That's just, But I remember I got this random message. I didn't have the phone number in my phone anymore. And it was a beautiful message. And the thing is, I was doing a lot of work on myself in my solitude. Addressing, sitting with myself, crying, processing, reviewing, and writing and I was in a very creative space, actually. That's when I was making a lot of music. And it was like, with that closure, that acknowledgement, because before someone can acknowledge their wrongdoings with you, it's almost to make it real, to really, truly alchemize the situation, they have to sit with themselves first. Have you ever met someone that they did something wrong and they know that they messed up, but that they haven't really taken the time to sit with themselves first, but they just automatically reach out? You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, so yeah, I know this is wrong, and sorry if it hurt you, whatever, no. You can feel it. Spirit can feel it. Sincerity is a frequency. Everything, energy is energy. And it's just real. Energy is real. Then, one of you are like, well, Nadja, what's real? What's the definition of real? But yeah, this is alchemy. You don't need... People often think when they think of alchemy, they think of people wearing hooded cloaks in a circle over a fire pit. That shit's real. People do that. Okay, I'm not even gonna front. People do that. But alchemizing, energy manipulation, when you're on the path of self-mastery, it's so simple. It's very simple. The more simple the practice, the more effective it's going to be. If you find yourself doing XYZ times 2x over 4 times A times C divided by half, or 1/2 to the power of 5 times 2 divided by 35.7. If you find yourself, if that's your formula when doing shadow work, it's gonna be unsuccessful. Shadow work requires simplicity, because you're going to need the space for processing. Processing is very emotional, very psychologically triggering. And you're going to need simple practices. Okay? When you're on this, you're acknowledging, you're taking accountability by acknowledging, and then, you're alchemizing. The more simple it is, the better off you'll be. I would say really complex rituals, complex multi-step spiritual practices should be held when you've done the shadow work, because you're dealing with high, very higher frequencies of your own consciousness. You don't have all that gunk black gunkety goo, calcification, energetic fragmentation, that dense energy. You're not holding that. So you're able to move very fluidly when doing complex spiritual practices. But if you try to attempt to ascend, right? I'm ascending. The higher you go, the harder you're gonna fall, right? As above, so below. It's about expansion, expanding beyond the four walls, expanding beyond your all limitations. But to not get too far off from the initial topic, avoidance out there. Beware. Look, I don't know how much you guys know about esoteric or astrology. I'll just say astrology. There are millions of readers, okay? Millions of energy readers. I have a lot to say about the digital age energy readers online. I've got tons to say. I am one of them, an energy reader, right? Or I practice energy reading. I'm very careful with I am statements. I am this, I am that. That's a lot. Just say, what do you do, right? Because I am is a state of being. I will say this though, like with astrology is a cyclical map that gives guidance and direction. And I will say this as to you, receivers of the message. We're entering into new spaces that will take us to new places. And I know I've said nothing's new under the sun, but it's new to us, in our age, right? And so those who avoid accountability, good Lord, from the reading, I did an annual reading for the next year. And we start off strong. And I say this, as a collective for all, human collective. But then we end not weak, but it's raw. Meaning the thorn in your finger, if you're not actively practicing, asking, trying to figure out how to remove that thorn in your being, in your heart, your mind, your habits, your spirit, it will be it will be removed. And it will be uncomfortable in ways that let's just say, because I'm not I don't like predicting the future. I find I have a lot to say about that, because it goes into the concept of what people believe time is. But I will say though, that our current frequencies can take us in certain trajectories in life, especially as a collective society. Okay. I will just say, use the beginning of the strength that you will have at the beginning of 2026. Sustain that strength so that by the end of 2026, according to the Gregorian calendar, you'll have that strength to remove what needs to be removed. Right? So again, more to come. I'm so excited. I've been waiting. for a while, and it is time now to share and to explore other avenues of myself with you. And many will receive it openly and others will refuse, and that's okay. I am very much ready now. So thank you so much for tuning in, and may this message find you well and whole. Again, I'm going to make an actual disclaimer that I don't use any AI and that I'm not a licensed psychologist, a psychotherapist. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor. I am just a fellow human being, a being having a human experience, sharing what my personal insights, and not personal, but just insights on existing with you all here in this reality. That's all. I will never claim to sit here and tell you that I have all of the answers. Never, ever, ever. You hold the truth. You hold your own answers. I may guide through these messages, but I guide you back to you. If anything, I am not your guru. I am not your, I don't want to say not a teacher. I do teach, but I'm not your savior. I'm just a being having a human experience, a very creative, intuitive, mystical, magical woman that wants to share and has a desire to use her gifts for the good, to use her gifts to neutralize, to use her gifts to ignite more love and healing in the world. I hope you felt that, because I feel like that's my calling in my life, right? And our life purpose changes. We may have more than one purpose. I don't like to attach myself to this is what I'm going to be for the rest of my days. No, I don't feel like that at all. I feel like my purpose is to be free, to liberate myself. That I find in all that I do, to liberate myself in all that I create, in all that I do, in all that I believe, in all that I share with you all, just constant flow of liberation. And I will leave you with that. Thank you so much for tuning in, and may this message find you well and whole. And there's so much more to share. If you are into energy readings, please be out on the lookout. They're going to be different. It'll be very different, and I'll share down the breakdown with you all. So, thank you. Goodbye.